everyone, thanks for joining me today. I wanted to tell you guys my love story. I know it's not Valentine's Day or anything. There's honestly no good reason, but I just thought it was something that'll be fun, a fun series of how me and Danny met and so on. So I know we have kind of a different interesting story with like our Brady Bunch families, so I figured I would tell you guys a little bit about our journey and a little bit dig into my life a little deeper to get to know me a little more. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy these stories. I'll kind of walk you through how Danny and I got to where we are now, and starting with our first date. So here we go. I kind of explained in this video how we met and how it all began. All right, hope you guys enjoy. Check it out. So I'm gonna use this rose quartz first. So we met on Match.com. It was like one of those things where I really didn't want to date. I was scared. I'd been single for the first time in 13 years, and I don't know, I was just like, this is gonna be awful. And I never went on a date in my life, not proper. Like, set it up and you're like, okay, we're gonna go do this, and then you go on a date with somebody you didn't meet before. I was young when I started dating my children's father, so I was 19, so I wasn't taking on any dates, okay? Long story short, this was my first date. So Danny is my first date, technically. So I was on tour, and during that time, I was touring a lot actually. And my friend Carly was like, you should sign up for Match.com. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And I don't know, I was scared of it. It was just one of those things where I was like, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? Dating sites, I don't know. This is before, or maybe Tinder was, I guess Tinder was around, but I knew of Match.com because my sister met her husband on there. That's the one I knew about. So I was like, okay. One day I was alone with my friend in New York, and she started speed dating me. We were sitting down eating, and she got up to go to the bathroom, and when she sat back down, she was like, hey, I'm Steve, what's your name? And I was like, I'm Aga, and I didn't know what to do. I was terrible at dating. Needless to say, she was just like, girl, you need help. And she dated me being Joe, Steve, and Bob, I don't know. And she helped me out a lot, because by the time I went on a date with Danny, I knew what not to say, which would have been so bad. I was definitely inexperienced, would have said the dumbest stuff, okay? Now I'm gonna do my Precious at the top here, which you guys should already know by now because it's like my go-to. So back to Match.com. So I finally have a couple days off on tour in LA, and since most of our crew lives in LA, I actually had time off to myself. Normally we all do adventures and go do things on our days off, so it's kind of you know, we're all together a lot, just kind of exploring. But since everybody lives in LA, I just was like, I'm gonna do a spa day and I'm gonna do this, you know. Being a mom, it was the only time I had off time from my kids, because anytime I was home, I was full-time mom all the time. And then on days off on tour were my only days off with no kids or whatever. And so I was bored, and I was like, you know what? I'm signing up for this Match.com thing. I'm like, I'm gonna lurk dudes on the internet. Yeah. I was like, why not? Let's lurk some dudes, you know? And so I get on there, and I didn't pay yet. I just kind of like lurked what was on there, because you can kind of look, but you can't message anybody or anything like that. And so I saw Danny on there, and I was like, hello. Yeah. He was a babe. I was like, oh, this guy's cute. And I had like 3 days off there, so you know, the first day went by, I was like, nah, I'm not paying for this. I couldn't stop thinking about him. I was like, man, that dude's a babe for real, you know. And I was right, because fast forward, he's still a babe, yeah. But so I finally was like, F it, you know what I mean? And I signed up, paid the money, I'm doing it. And I knew at that time, I was like, okay, well, obviously this isn't gonna be like the guy, cause come on, you know? What are the odds that the guy that, first guy I like on there is the guy that I'm gonna marry? Anyway, well, apparently high, cause yeah. But so I see him on there, he's a babe, whatever, and I message him and I go, hey there, it seems like we have a lot in common because one of the pictures of him was him on a motorcycle, and at that time I didn't have my motorcycle license yet, but I was working on getting my permit, and so I knew I was gonna ride, I knew I wanted to ride, so I kind of was like, I want the dude that I'm gonna be with to also ride, cause, you know, I don't know. It wouldn't be that weird to be, but it would be nice to have somebody that also has the same hobbies as you. So I just that's what I wanted. Now I'm gonna use this Jasper color right here, this brown looking color. His name on there was like vinyl something, and I love records and I collected records. So I was like, oh, we're gonna have that in common too, cool. I like records, you like records. Obviously we were match made in heaven. Little did I know he actually works for a vinyl distributor company, so part of it was that. I mean, we do have lots of records, as you guys can tell, and we do love records, but it was partially that. So anyway, we talked on there a couple days and just nonstop all day, every day, and I don't know, it was going so well. My heart was beating. I was like, I'm in love, I'm gonna marry him. I didn't even meet him yet. I know, irrational, crazy, whatever you wanna call it, but I definitely was like, that's my man, then. And I knew deep down, I was like, I'm gonna get my heart broken, but whatever. And so we continued to talk. You message through this app, so you don't have any connection to this person in like the real world. He told me his name, but I didn't know his last name or anything like that. He told me where he lives, but I didn't really know much, you know? And so we're talking through this app, and he finally, like waiting for him to ask me out, hello. And he finally asks me out and is like, hey, so when are you gonna be home from tour? Do you wanna meet up for a date? And I was like, yes. And I was so excited. I give this guy my number, it's time, like whatever. And I tell him, well, I'll be home on Monday, which was a couple days from there, and I was gonna be home for 3 days, and then I was leaving for Asia for like a month and a half. So I was flying to Taiwan after 3 days of being home. So I had 3 days of an opportunity to like go on a date with him, and that was a small window I had for him. And so he was like, that's fine, we could meet up on Monday, whatever. And so I give him my number and say, yeah, just text me. A day goes by and I'm like talking to my friend Jenna, who was on tour with me, and we were having lunch in LA, and I'm like, I haven't heard from him. He hasn't texted me all day. I give him my number. Man, I hope it's legit, whatever. And Jenna's like, it's fine, it's fine. She's like, you probably gave him the wrong number. And we both like laughed, wishful thinking. Yeah, okay, sure, buddy. You know, everybody wishes somebody didn't text them because you gave them the wrong number. I gave him the wrong number. I freaking gave him the wrong number. I went back at my phone, like I was like, Jenna, I'm gonna look, you know, and I like look in there. And I wrote it so fast because I was so excited and so nervous that I gave him the wrong phone number. So I finally messaged him back on there, and I'm like, oh my God, I gave you the wrong number. This is like a day after I gave him the wrong number. He probably was like, this girl, another fake whatever, you know. He had an opportunity to date a bunch before me after the relationship he was in before that. So he dated like a lot of girls on this app. He just figured it was another like whatever thing, you know. And I was like, I'm so sorry, whatever. And he didn't get back to me a whole day, which was the longest day of my life. And I was flying home that day, and that was the day we were gonna meet up for a date. And I still hadn't heard back from him. I was like, ugh, I'm on the plane. And he just figured that he didn't know exactly what day maybe I was flying home or something. He's like, I just figured you weren't responding because you were flying or whatever, traveling. And I was like, no, it's because I gave you the wrong freaking number. So I gave him the right number, and I finally get home. I told my best friend, Isla, to drive me to the date in case he's a serial killer. That's how paranoid I was. And finally I'm going to meet him. And keep in mind, I was so scared. I was shaking. I legit was like like this. I hadn't been on a date before and I was so nervous and I didn't want to say the wrong thing, and I don't know, I didn't know what to wear, I didn't know what to say, I was so you know. And so finally Isla drives me to the date. I make sure she stays so he could see, you know, somebody's dropping me off, and like saw his car in case he like tries to kidnap me or something. And so you know, I meet him, and when I see him, I'm just like jaw dropped. He is so cute to me. I'm like in love, like at that point. Like this is the moment where I'm like, yeah, I'm in love. This is the love of my life, which is really creepy, but I just knew. Now I'm gonna use this moonstone. And so I'm like super excited because he's even better looking in person than he was in his pictures, because guys suck at taking pictures, duh. And so I was just like, oh my God, he is gorgeous. I love him. I couldn't eat for a week after meeting him, I swear. I was sick to my stomach from the day that I was going to meet him to like a week later almost. By the end of the day, I finally go to the bathroom and my eyelash, my fake eyelash, is half hanging off. I was just like, oh my God, what the hell? You know, this is embarrassing. My eyelash is falling off. But he still liked me. So then everything's going good on the date. We kind of catch up with our lives. We talk about our kids, which is really nice, because I remember when I first was single, I was worried that nobody will want to date somebody with kids, and it didn't matter. He had 2 kids and I had 2 kids, and they were around the same ages, and he just got out of like a really crappy relationship, and I got out of my young relationship where I was too young and we weren't right for each other, you know. And so it was like we were both in a place where I think we really needed each other, to be honest, and it worked out really well. Now I'm gonna use Pearl in the inner corner, and I think we were meant to be, essentially. And I don't know how he was put in the universe for me, but he was, and I don't know, he was like my soulmate from the beginning. I legit told my parents before our second date, like after our first date, that I'm gonna marry him, and my dad was just like, oh God, you know. And I don't know, it worked out really good. I know that a lot of it was luck, just random luck, and I know that it doesn't work like that for everybody, but I just want to give you all some hope. It can happen. It did for us. Fast forward 5 years, we're married. Our little kids were 5 when we started dating, and they're 11 now. Our little kids are the same age. They're literally 28 days apart, and they're best friends in the whole wide world. And our older kids are 2 years apart, but they're like, might as well be the same age, because even though they're 2 years apart, they're like the same size, because my children are giants. So it almost felt like they were the same age too, actually. So it worked out super well, and they all love each other and get along really good. Probably better than real siblings, I would say. And I don't know, we just like melted our families right away. The first date was a success. I was gonna take an Uber home that night because I figured I'll have Isla drop me off, and then I'll just Uber home, so when I drink, because I knew I hadn't eaten in so long, and that's the first time in my life that I didn't eat. It was like almost like I was in trouble. I was so sick to my stomach. I don't know why. I had butterflies so hard, it was like impossible to eat. So I figured I probably should not drive on this date. I don't want to do it. So I was like, I'll Uber, because I Uber all the time, generally on tour and everything, so it's like no big deal. But then, I don't know, once I got to know Danny, he was like, hey, I'll drive you home. And at first he's like, I'll drive you home. And he's like, oh wait, maybe you don't want me to drive you home because like, maybe you think I'm a creep, you know, or something. And I was like, no, I like you, I just, whatever. And finally he drove me home. I was so nervous, and if you guys know me by now, you know I'm like super dorky, and I was just like, oh, I don't know, I got nervous. He dropped me off. I had a babysitter, and so my kids were at the house, and you know, somebody's watching them, and he dropped me off. And then when we get there, I'm like, let me bring you a water, hold on, and like ran inside. I never gave him a kiss, and I like ran inside, grabbed a water, and then ran it out, gave him a quick peck on the cheek and was like, okay, bye. And he was like, oh no, I don't know if she likes me because I didn't even kiss him, which was because I was super nervous. I went to Sephora yesterday. Needed a new liquid liner. But yeah, so then he just went home and the first date went well, in my opinion. I was happy, I liked him, and we already bonded through talking, so that was cool because it wasn't just physical. We actually got to know each other a little bit through talking on, you know, through the messenger stuff. And then I was so sad because I was leaving for like a month and a half and I wasn't gonna see him again for so long. I had 3 days at this mall that I go to buy all my makeup supplies anyway. I was going there and it was close to his house and I knew what time he got off work and all this stuff. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna be at that mall and I know you live by there and I wanted to know if you wanted to meet up for dinner or something if you hadn't eaten. And so he was like, yeah, I would love to. So this is our second date and we met up at that mall and finally we had our first kiss in front of like hundreds of people. It's an outdoor mall and it was summer, it was August when we met. And so we're at the mall and they're doing like a screening of a movie in the middle of the mall and he just stops me in front of all the people and kisses me like in the movies. It was the most romantic thing that's ever happened to me and I was still like, yep, I'm still gonna marry him. Finally, you know, at this point I'm like, man, I just want to spend every day with this man forever, so it sucks that I have to leave, but whatever, you know, I figured there would be romance in distance anyway. I mean, it's what I do for a living, and he would have to understand that, and I would have to understand that if we were gonna be together. Now I'm gonna use this tardiest over this. And so we were preparing for me leaving. It was like the biggest bummer, but we figured, you know, it is what it is, and we'll just communicate like we did when we first met and that it would be fine. So I was leaving for Taiwan and we had one more opportunity to meet again before I left. I'm spending all 3 days with this man. And so we were gonna try to get babysitters for our third date and I was able to get a babysitter for me, but then Danny was gonna see if his brother would watch his kids, but his brother couldn't. And so he was like, I can't find a babysitter. Is there any way that maybe you could come here and we could just sneak you? Because we didn't want the kids to like meet us yet because, you know, we just met. And so we didn't want to confuse them in case it wasn't gonna work out or whatever. And so Danny sneaks me in and he was like, I'll put my kids to bed early so that, you know, they don't see you, whatever. And I like sneak over there to his house and it's so awkward. I felt like a teenager, you know, sneaking into his house. It was like hiding from the kids. So then I go over there and we're watching a movie, you know, whatever, hanging out on the couch, and his daughter comes downstairs, and I guess she was watching us for a long time, like in the corner, kind of just waiting. And she's 5 at this time, keep in mind. She didn't want Danny to see her or whatever. And so she finally is like, Dad, and Danny's like, hey, you know, you gotta go to bed, and goes over there and picks her up and carries her. And I knew I was in love with him for real, for sure. At that point, I was like, I'm in love. His cute little daughter, and he lifted her and took her to bed, and I was like, oh. And I'm a mom, and the most important thing in my life are my kids. So watching somebody love his kids so much, it was immediate, obvious, that's the person for me. Because it was very important to me that whoever was going to be with me was gonna be a family person, which, I mean, Danny is such a family man, and it worked out so good. Now our kids are way older, obviously, because, you know, it's been a long time. And I have a really good relationship with his kids, and he has a really good relationship with my kids, and it's awesome. It's what I wanted So if you ever feel like you don't have hope for finding the right person, just remember, you know, don't give up. Honestly, even with all the baggage that he and I both had, realistically, you know, you'd think like it would be hard, but for us, it just worked out because, I don't know, we had a lot in common. We knew what we were getting ourselves into, and yeah, and now we're married. It's crazy how life works now, where you can meet somebody on the internet and spend the rest of your life with them. It's an interesting thing, but also kind of amazing how in some ways we're lucky, because I would have probably never met somebody from like this area, and I definitely knew I didn't want to date anybody I ever met before in my life, so there was never a person that I was like, yeah, I would date them. So I already knew I didn't know anybody that I was interested in. And honestly, I wouldn't have wanted to date somebody that I already knew. I wanted to start over, and what a better way than through like a dating site. So I don't know. I know nowadays a lot of people meet online, and I think it's kind of cool. Why not? You know, what's the difference meeting somebody in a grocery store or on the internet, where you don't have to explain yourself? Hey, just so you know, I've been married 14 times and I have 12 children. Like, they know. It makes it easier. Okay, that is what it is, you know. And it's one of those things where the major things, if you're a smoker or something, and a lot of people don't want to date a smoker, they know right away, if you're a smoker, it's not gonna work for me. Although Danny smoked when I met him, and he quit for me because he loves me. No, I didn't want him to smoke. I quit smoking, and obviously, you know, I was madly in love with him, so it's not like I was trying to be bossy or something. I just was like, I love him and I don't want him to die. So he did smoke when I met him, and then he got sick actually, and he quit because of that, because on accident he couldn't smoke for like a week and a half because he was so sick. And then I was like, you didn't smoke for a week and a half already? Can you try for me, please? And he did, and he quit. He straight up has not smoked in 5 years, and that's awesome, which is great. With that money we've saved, we're able to do other things, have a business, all this stuff. So it's a good thing. But anyway, back to the date. Worked out good. I will fill you guys in on the next part of the story on part 2. I'm gonna put on my lashes. I'll be right back. Done. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the first part of my love story. There's so much more. I did this look with like natural lighting, and it's not too bad. I'm doing my makeup regular today because I'm not doing anything exciting, and I know the holidays are coming, but figured I would do something a little different because I've been doing a lot of the holiday looks, and I figured I'd throw something in the mix that is a bit different. Can't wait to tell you guys the rest of my story, and hope you guys are enjoying it. Let me know if you got any other questions. I'm sure I missed lots of parts of the story, so I could always probably add them in the next one. Yeah. If you're enjoying my channel, please like, subscribe, and comment. It does help out my channel. Also, feel free to share with your friends or whatever. Probably not this one because people are like, who is this girl? And why are we hearing her love story? They don't care. But I have a lot of other videos they might like. And once they get to know me, maybe they'll even care about my love story. I don't know. So I just thought I would do something a little different. Thanks for swinging back by, and hope to see you guys soon in the next one. All right, bye.